A lot of people have wanted to be part of Hermitcraft. But first, I guess I should answer what exactly is Hermitcraft. Hermitcraft is a Minecraft SMP where a bunch of people get together and just have a bunch of fun playing a bunch of survival mode with some certain tweaks and such, having a bunch of different effects on the gameplay, but ultimately it still feels as vanilla as possible. Now, something important to note is that Hermitcraft is very exclusive in its members, in which they don't really let anybody join, like, ever. Which is, discouraging for a lot of people, but at the same time it makes sense because it's, it's an exclusive community of creators that just get together and do their thing. Now, obviously, oh my god, my frames are dropping like no tomorrow, my god. Now, of course, it's not like they don't encourage people to do things in their own time because, there's a bunch of different servers and such where people have Patreons where the exclusive members can join that. There's other servers where people can just straight up join without any sort of payment or anything like that. But Hermitcraft is one of those servers that everyone wishes they could be part of, but sadly, most people will not. Now, have I myself thought about what I would do if I were on the server? Absolutely. Like, are you kidding me? I mean, the whole reason I made my Nerdcraft series is because I like Hermitcraft so much. Now, obviously, I've never built anything as grand scale as these guys have, which especially with this particular season that I'm exploring, which this is Season 8, the world download and all of the world downloads for Hermitcraft are in the description. You can find the link there, and just make sure that you extract everything completely, because man, this took way too long for me to actually get functioning. But yes, this particular season was actually a much shorter season where it was kind of like an in-between season almost, because 1.17 and 1.18 had been split into two different parts of the Caves and Cliffs update, so they didn't really get to have the full experience of that, so they kind of just built their own cliffs, which is really funny, honestly, to look at. But I digress. The Hermitcraft experience is something that a lot of people won't exactly get to have when it comes to being a part of the actual server. So what I wanted to do today was kind of just go through, like, what would I do? What would I make if I was a part of the server? What things would I do? But I think the first thing that we need to do is actually go through what exactly the Hermitcraft experience is. As in, what do the Hermits tend to do in each season of Hermitcraft? And I think the first thing that everybody thinks of whenever they think of Hermitcraft is actually the starter bases. Whenever a new season starts up, that man is terrifying, my goodness. Whenever a new season of Hermitcraft starts up, everyone goes around and starts building up very intricately detailed starter bases. I believe this was B-Dub's starter base. I don't actually know if this was a starter base or not. I'm pretty sure it was. But, things like this would be someone's regular, like, Minecraft build in just a normal world. But Hermitcraft, man, they go above and beyond. So yes, they start off with some starter base shenanigans, making up a bunch of different smaller structures in terms of the actual scale of their projects. And then they move on to bigger builds, like Tango's big old mountain here with the giant cave inside that has the big ol' ogre dude inside it, which honestly, this was a really cool project, and it is a shame with this particular season that a lot of projects didn't end up getting finished because the newer updates were coming out and people were just like, you know what, we'll just call it here. Which no disrespect to them at all. I think that it was honestly fine. Is that Among Us? So yes, step 1, starter base. Step 2, big base. But kind of in between step 1 and step 2 is a smaller step where they actually build up shops. And normally there's like a style of shopping district that they all settle on one spot where you can buy things. But I believe in this particular season, they actually had it as a separate chunk of each person's base. So like the Big Eye crew here had their own separate shops here. Like I believe Tango had the iron shop here where you could just straight up just buy a bunch of iron blocks. And there's Ron. Oh, Big Eye Ron. Wow, I'm quick. There's just different shops that are actually part of people's bases in this season rather than one big shopping district. So something I kind of want to do is just go through this map, figure out where exactly I would set up shop, and then kind of just go from there. Obviously, I need to find a spot for a starter base, find a spot for my mega base, quote unquote, and then also come up with an idea for a shop. Now, what that shop would be, I have no idea, because I'd also need to figure out, like, if I were in this world, what kind of farms would I have? What kind of grind would I go on to collect whatever resources I'd need for it? There's lots of things to take into account here, and this may be a much bigger video than I expected it to be, but honestly, I'm really excited because I've been itching to just get my regular Minecraft building skills up. I've been doing a lot of those Five Nights at Freddy's Minecraft builds lately, and while they are fun, they also don't let me really experiment with my vanilla building techniques, so I think this is going to be a perfect video for that. But real quick, just before we get started with any of the builds, if you guys enjoy this video, please consider subscribing. I've noticed that there is a big percentage of you guys out there that watch the videos that aren't subscribed, so if you wouldn't mind doing that, that would make my day so much brighter. But without any further ado, let's go ahead and hop into this. So I guess that's something else I need to take account with as well, is would I have participated in the different events going on around the server? Like, there was the 2 different clubs for traveling the server. There was the horse club, which basically, you know, you'd use all these paths that go straight around this big old island. And then there was the wings club, which, you know, you just use your elytra because that's what's easier and better in every way. I think I probably would have just gone with elytra. You know what? This spot right here, this little island, I say little, this island right here that's kind of just slightly broken off of the mainland, I think this is perfect. I think this is a great spot for me to start. So let's not do anything that I've recommended before, where we just test things out and like pretend that everything is great. Let's just start building. Honestly, like I want to build so bad. So we have here the exterior of our starter base, and honestly this looks really nice. I'm very surprised with how this has come out, and I'm really happy with it. It feels like something you would see in 1.17, and I know that it looks very similar to builds that I've done in the past, and that's because builds that I've done in the past with like different seasons of Nerdcraft have used a majority of 1.17 blocks. So honestly, this is not outside of the range of what I would have done at this time. That's why it looks kind of repetitive if you've seen any of my other content. But as you can see from this interior here, it's not nearly as polished as you would think it would be, and that's because I haven't done it yet. So I'm going to go ahead and do a quick little transition here, and we will soon have a complete interior. And so we have our interior, and I'm honestly really happy with how this has turned out. So we come in from the front door here, right? You got the little entranceway here with all these beams going across the ceiling, a fireplace with some chairs and sofa in front of it. Got the bed. We got the little bar here. You can hang out with some friends. You can do stuff. You got a little kitchen area with all the furnaces and stuff. We've got all of the storage for all of the many things that I will build here on the server. We also have a little meeting room here, which is honestly one of my favorite parts just because of the implications of all kinds of different shenanigans and stuff that can happen here. If you've ever watched Hermitcraft, you know that there are a lot of times where the hermits get together and they plan some sort of crazy scheme and do all sorts of different things, and they often have a space like this to gather with whoever they're involving to do that. And honestly, I think this room turned out really nice, and I think the particles from the azalea bush really help this room come to life. It's just nice. Then as we go down these stairs here, we have a way out into the outside here. With a little dock, we can hop on a boat and go off into the distance. Or we can go into this room, which is the enchantment room. We can have a chest for all the lapis. We can have a chest for a whole bunch of different other items to either enchant or to not enchant. You know, to enchant or not to enchant, that is the question. Yes, this is a full level enchanter, and I like also having these stairs here to show off the glowstone a bit. Just makes it feel a bit more magical. So yeah. And if we head back outside the front here, you can also find that I've made a few decorations out the front just with growing some azalea trees, spreading some moss, and creating some custom rocks, which honestly I think just look fantastic. They feel like natural formed rocks in terms of how they'd actually look in real life. Obviously not Minecraft generated because they don't generate with stairs and slabs. But it feels like something that you would find in Hermitcraft, and I think that's one of the biggest things here, is making it feel like it's something you would see here. Because if I was part of the server, I would absolutely be going all out with these kinds of things. I would not be pulling any stops. So I think that goes ahead and wraps up our starter base, which honestly is kind of cool. And obviously I'm not gonna take the time to do this all in survival in here because that would take me literally the entirety of however long they would do a season of Hermitcraft, and I don't really want to spend that much time doing this kind of thing because it's just an idea. It's a hypothetical what if scenario. So that's gonna wrap up this starter base. So now it's time to work on the mega base. Now, what exactly is considered mega? I mean, we can look around at the different places around this server and we can see definitely what is qualified as mega, but I mean, mega is kind of subjective, isn't it? Because you could consider this to be someone's mega base, but at the same time, it's also someone's starter base. Because, you know, it's just various builds around this already formed mountain. It's not like they went and actually terraformed this mountain themselves. It's not like they went and did all of this detailing all by themselves. They did definitely add to it, but it's not all just them. So really the question is, what do we qualify as a mega base? So I decided to hop over to Bodum as a really good example of what I'm thinking kind of defines a mega base. A mega base, I feel like, is defined by, it's something that you build that is not lived in. It is a really big, impressive build that doesn't have a living capability. Now, for example, Good Times with Scar, that whole area, that giant spruced up area with all the copper, all the wagons, all that stuff, that's all his starter base. And the reason that's qualified as a starter base is that all of these builds have some form of purpose for his living on the server. Some of them are just where he sleeps. Some of them are where he keeps his storage. Some of them are where he keeps different pieces of his farms. All sorts of different things are in that area that are constantly being used. Whereas with his mega base, which is just these mountains, it's purely just cosmetic. It's all just the aesthetic that's being added to this area that has no purpose other than looking really cool. But same thing with Grian. Grian's little house there, that's where he kind of just keeps all his stuff. Then he kind of developed this train thing, and then he developed his base, his mega base, which is inside that mountain there, which again has no functional purpose other than just being cool. And you know, when it comes to mega bases, like, these guys know what they're doing. And all of them have some sort of smaller starter base area where they still keep all their stuff. I can go down to Mumbo Jumbo's tree right here, and he'd still have all of his stuff inside this area because this is where he works the most. See, he's still got all of this stuff here. And it's just a testament to how much more useful their starter bases are than their mega bases. Am I saying the mega bases are useless? Kinda, but at the same time, they're just not livable, which is okay. Now, am I gonna make a mega base on the scale of like what these guys have made? Probably not, just because I don't want to be stuck here for the next 30 days. But I do want to build something decently sizable because I feel like that's worth the effort putting it into this kind of video, because it feels like it's something that I need to do. And in order to pay respect to this world that I am in right now, I feel like that's something I need to do, is make something decently big and push myself to try and create something that I've never done before. Because like I said, like that building that I have just made for my starter base, it looks a lot like other builds that I've made before, and that's because it's pretty much a combination of a few of them. My Nerdcraft Season 2 base, my Nerdcraft Season 3, and my 3.5. There's building techniques from all of those that I just put into one build. And for my mega base, I want to make it something that I've just never done before. So I need to figure out what exactly I'm gonna do, and that might take some time. But first, it's time to enact that kind of in-between step and come up with a shop and a farm to stock said shop. Now, with each Survival World series that I've done, I try to do different types of farms, different types of builds with each season or each world, and I realized I haven't actually ever made a creeper farm in any of my series. So I figured the kind of farm I would make is a creeper farm. This is just south of my starter base here, and it's actually linked up to the Nether hub as well, which is actually conveniently, it's right next to the spawn portal. I think it's spawn. It's got a little creeper farm here. Nothing super efficient. It's probably expandable if I really wanted it to be, but it's kind of doing some stuff, so that's nice. I haven't really been over here super long since I've finished building it. But, you know, I feel like this is representative of about my willingness to build a farm as decoratively as possible. Because obviously it's a farm, it's just supposed to be efficient, but it still looks pretty nice. I think the little bits of depth here that I've got going on are pretty nice. But overall, nothing super fancy, but it would get me by with getting some gunpowder for my explosive shop. And so this is the shop, and it's not honestly the best thing ever, but I think it gets the point across pretty well. Got a sign on here. I called it Big Bang Explosives and More. So it sells TNT and fireworks, because those are really the only things you can make with gunpowder in this game, which is totally fine because they're both super useful, especially on this kind of server. So honestly, I think it works. And inside here, it's pretty simple, just a chest for TNT, a chest for firework rockets. Obviously there would be signs or something in here saying what would be what, but I would probably actually just rename an item, put it inside the chest, and have it say what the price of each item is in there. And then also there's a spot back here for a receptionist, quote unquote. I think I would add probably some sort of villager or renamed mob here somewhere. But honestly, just having this empty here kind of feels nice as well, because it feels like it's almost like an abandoned like miner shack. I kind of wanted it to feel more like almost like a crazy like gold digging guy. Not a gold digger. No, hold on. So when 1.17 came out, I really wanted to build some sort of castle or kingdom of some sort with the new 1.17 blocks. That included the deep slate, bricks, the tiles, the copper, all of that stuff, and I wanted to implement that into a base, and that is exactly what I did with the Nerdcraft Season 2 series. Since this specific season of Hermitcraft was around the same time, I feel like that's probably something that I would have done in this server as well, if that was something I was able to do. So I think what I'm going to do is get a quick layout of just what this castle, it's probably going to be more like a giant castle keep, which is really exciting, honestly. I'm very excited to get that put together. But yeah, I'm going to go ahead and get a big old castle keep laid out with some wool and figure out how everything's going to be lined up. And I think we'll just go from there. So one thing to consider when making a mega base is to think of the silhouette that you're going to be making when you look at, like, let's say the sun is right behind it and all you can make out is the outline of the build. That's what we want to see here, and I just realized I missed a spot. Like I was saying, you want to make sure that you have a pretty good silhouette against the sun. And I know that's really weird to imagine, but you're gonna have to trust me. So with this mega base, like I said, it's gonna be some sort of castle, and I think I'm actually gonna be playing around a lot more with blocks that were already existing in the game at this point. but there are still going to be blocks from the update that this server was active in. So there will still be that. But honestly, I'm just really excited to be playing around with these different angles and stuff, because I never really messed around with diagonals or circles or anything like that. So this is going to be really fun to play around with. And all of these like micro towers and stuff like that are going to be really cool. I may add a few more onto this side just because it is feeling a bit more bland on this side. But that's, I feel like, it's something for future me to deal with, I feel like. But without further ado, let's get started building this thing. After many hours and honestly days of working on this project, my quote-unquote mega base is finally complete. Now there are pieces of it that feel a little flat, there are pieces of it that don't feel quite done, and honestly, I'm okay with that. I am okay with that, because not every build is perfect, not everything is going to be great, not everything is going to be a fantastic piece of work. Obviously there are going to be some flaws, but at the same time, I am very proud of what I've made. And like this angle right here, this is, I think, one of my absolute favorite pieces of architecture I've ever built in this game. This is seriously one of my absolute favorites. But let's just go through here and check everything out. So inside here we have the entrance, which is a stairwell down into the main structure. We have a really nice amethyst chandelier here, which is honestly just so beautiful. I love the amethyst blocks and the amethyst gems. They're just so pretty. And then these glazed terracotta blocks honestly fit really well, especially with the gold pattern here in the middle. I've never used the glazed terracotta, and it feels natural that they're here. Like it feels supernatural, and I love it. Down this way, of course, we have the armor hall, and I kind of was thinking that if I were in this series at the time, if I had channel members that had joined, I would put their name in different spots here to represent, you know, this represents this person, this represents this person, this represents this person, just as a way of kind of including people in the series, because part of Hermitcraft is the interaction with the actual viewers, seeing what people think of your projects, seeing what people like about your projects, and having people want to be part of what you create as well, and that definitely would be a way to include everybody. Then in here we have the throne room, which is very blue, but also really cool. I'm really proud of this throne room. It feels ominous, but at the same time very warm, and that's because of all the lights. and all of the lighter colors at the top and the darker colors here at the bottom. This throne, honestly, I'm really happy with. Like, it looks nice. It looks nice. We have this little tiny library here, which has got a bunch of different, you know, flower pots and plants and stuff like that. And there's, of course, books. But a giant spiral staircase heading up towards the second floor. This little middle floor here is kind of just an observing platform. Maybe, you know, people hang out up here as well. They're waiting for whatever royalty or whoever to come around. We have this viewing area up here as well, which goes all the way around. So you can get to this area, but there's technically no official way to get there other than through that way. And inside here, we have the main quarters, which features my bed. That's my bed in the corner. And then just, you know, a bunch of shelves and various, you know, decorations and stuff like that. We got some storage here behind these doors, which is really nice. So I can keep things that I would normally use if I'm staying inside this base, which, like I kind of mentioned before, I don't define this as a base that I would live in. Kind of the point of mega bases is just to be like a feat of imagination and creativity. And I feel like this is pretty accurate to that. We also have a meeting table here, because, you know, I love my meeting tables. I don't really know why I had so many meeting tables. But if I wanted to have a bigger group of the Hermits get together here, maybe we could play. There's like that statistic game or whatever that you can play where you look at your statistics and whoever has the highest number wins the diamonds or whatever. Stuff like that. So, honestly, very happy with this room. It feels very alive and just really good. And I think the red complements the brown roof as well. And the composters as the roof. Oh my gosh, it's so nice. And then finally, upstairs here, we have the observation room where the moon can come across here. That's the, I think that's the east, that's the west. Whoops! So the moon comes across here, we can watch it. And we can also view the telescope through this computer screen, which totally looks like a computer screen. And then we have these tubes here in the corners, which kind of represent different things that I would have like collected to experiment on. Maybe there are some different blocks or different things I could use armor stands to put in there. I have no idea how the armor stand thing works. I'm not good at the armor stands, so that would be something that I would have to figure out at another time. I don't have the brain power to figure that out. But, you know, just having various things floating around inside these tubes, as the moon starts affecting the world in different ways, as it started getting closer in this season, I feel like that's how I would have reacted with that. And so, I think that's probably going to wrap up this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. It was definitely something very different from what I've done in the past, but I really wanted an excuse to just build. And obviously, you know, I have my Nerdcraft series where I have been working on another episode for that. But that, honestly, this is so much different of a project, and it was so much fun to put together. And it really did feel like I was part of the server while I was putting this together. I mean, sure, I was building it in creative mode, so it wasn't as difficult. But seeing the things that I could put together and pushing myself to do things that I had never done before. I don't build with domes, I don't build with circles, I don't build with diagonals. Like, this was such a different build for me, and I had so much fun putting it together. Now, obviously, my shop kind of sucks, but that's okay. Because you know what? The shop is just there. You go in, you buy something, and you leave. It's not supposed to look super pretty. But if you guys want to check out the Hermitcraft worlds, there's a link in the description to the official Hermitcraft website. You can go and download any of the worlds that you feel like you want to download. Just make sure that you play in whatever version that the world was, or else a lot of things are going to break. Like a lot of the data packs and stuff, it's just not going to work. But also, if you enjoyed this video, please consider subscribing. And hey, if any of you Hermits happen to watch the video, hey, you know what? I'm open. Season 10, baby, let me in. Haha. No, but for real, if any of you Hermits are watching, I do want to say a huge thank you for the awesome content that you guys put out, and also a huge thank you for all the inspiring builds that you guys have made. Being able to make a video like this would not happen without you guys actually being here. So honestly, like, thank you for all that you guys do. You guys are awesome. And once again, thank you all for watching. This seriously was such a fun build to make. And I hope you guys stick around for more. Like I said, if you haven't subscribed already, please consider doing so, because it's free, and I like to see more people show up because it's nice. I like you guys. You guys are so nice. But without further ado, this video is going to come to a close, so I hope you all have an amazing rest of your day or night, whatever time of day it is for you. Hope you all stay safe, and until the next video, I will see you later. Bye!